Hey, my name is Attorney Walter, if not the third, and what we're going to be going through is a tough question to answer, but it's one that we should probably go into because a lot of people are getting nervous about everything that's going on with COVID. The pandemic is growing and changing and altering, but then things are good and then things are bad. Let's go through this, though. Is there a fix for all these government failures? So, the dollar is going to become worth significantly less and devalued. Cost of electricity is going to go way up. Cost of food is going to go way up. There's a fix to all this stuff. And I just wanted to go ahead and calm people down who are really worried about what's going on pretty much throughout the world. And this is not a Trump-Biden video by any stretch. This is where's the future of all this going? This is like a beyond Biden, after Biden. Where's the future of all this going? There is a fix to extreme inflation. There's a fix to extreme restriction laws. There's a fix to extreme taxation. The bottom line fix is that the government can't actually fix these problems. I know that they promote and sell that they can, but they can't. There is one thing, however, above all things that can fix them, and that is new technology. First new technology that's going to basically help us in all this is called thermosbottle fusion. So I know a lot of you are worried about the electricity bill. The dollar is going to be worth significantly less and devalued due to all the printing of money that's going to be coming up. The truth is they have figured out fusion. They know how to recreate it. Now they just need to get into a thermosbottle size, and basically that'll power the house for longer than your genetic line will ever own it. So the bottom line is, at some point in the not too distant future, we will have some form of free energy, or you'll be able to basically buy that thermosbottle fusion and then have energy for the rest of your life and the life of your children, etc., etc. Maybe you'll just have upkeep costs and things like that on the thermosbottle that the fusion is occurring within. Number two, 3D printed houses. So 3D printed houses were actually supposed to become a good cheap option for making houses quickly, but now I'm finding out that in Texas, they're selling them, and they're selling them for a lot of money because they're kind of like a unique novel thing, and they're just making a lot of money off of that. And hopefully in the not too distant future, 3D printed houses will become a great option, a very strong option, could take hurricanes, storms, things like that, but they won't be so ridiculously expensive. So I just want to point that out. Right now they're novel, but in the future you'll be able to buy houses and things like that, and they won't be if 3D printed as expensive as a traditionally built house. And they'll be built faster too with the 3D printers. Number three, self-driving vehicles. So this gets us away from the whole issue of, okay, so sometimes Zoom or Microsoft, a work group, sometimes those, telehealth or video teleconference help. Sometimes you need to see the person to actually do an analysis. Sometimes you have to physically be there to do something. And with self-driving vehicles, we're going to slowly get away from the whole idea of having, buses in the traditional sense. And we're going to start having, instead of a bus line, we're going to have so many vehicles available to pick a person up and drop them off at some location. It will essentially replace your Ubers and things like that because the government, the counties, the states, the federal government will fund basically so many cars for a particular district to pick people up and move them to where they need to be. Next thing is for electric vehicles. So if you can apply thermosbottle technology, thermosbottle fusion, to an electric vehicle and have a thermosbottle fusion device on it, then basically you could drive around the earth 1,000,000 times on a single charge of that thermosbottle fusion. Remember, fusion is what the sun has. We were using fission for electricity, and that's what we're still using, but we now know how to do fusion. So that is an amazing thing that's going to basically get rid of all these electrical requirements. And to be fair, too, we'll still use capacitors in some regard, but we don't need batteries at that point like we do now, because that fusion reactor will just continuously output information or output electricity, which means we won't need tons of batteries to store it. It'll just always output, and when we don't need it, we'll just redirect it some way. Next one, Zoom meetings, which have already become a big thing. This was on actually a list that I made back in the day. Zoom meetings, being able to talk to people and do this stuff. A lot of the technology that actually made that happen was the video game industry, not necessarily all the vocational work industry, because the video game industry blew up and everybody wanted to talk to each other and see each other and things like that. And then inherent with that combined with the work industry, and the work industry combined with the, moms wanting to watch their kids and things like that. So, there were all these industries that came together But like all of these, it's all private market. It's all private industry creating these. The government cannot fix the problems. We've given them hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years to do it. They can't fix these problems. Okay. Next one, 6, food production growth alternatives. So we are starting to get into the place where we can go ahead and grow meats. We can go ahead and grow, all the things that traditionally we'd have to kill an animal for. The other thing is we've now figured out how to basically maximize genetically change with CRISPR. The genetics of all these different types of plants and what every single aspect of the DNA consists of, and we can do it at a very high and specific level when we alter them. So at this point, food is going to become much larger and much cheaper, even more so than it currently is. And I mean, pretty much everything you buy in the grocery store is some genetically modified version of it, even if it's not with CRISPR. At some point in the timeline, somebody took something and started to change the path of its normal growth. Okay, even if it's not through traditional hormones or CRISPR, DNA editing, and things like that. All right, next thing, 7, space-based industries. So that's going to be a huge new industry where people are going to be getting jobs left and right. Space Force is now coming into fruition, and NASA's pushing, and this is going to be a huge new arena where basically there's going to be tons of jobs. People are going to be earning a lot of money. It's going to be amazing. I absolutely love the space-based industry. That's why I created spaceconstitution.com, which is being converted into a 501c3 nonprofit, so it'll be spaceconstitution.org. Next one. 8, that's the first open source constitution. Allows people to figure out whatever rights and freedoms they think people should have and what future generations and space stations and colonies should have. Number 8, smelting plants for waste and recycling. So as you know, China has restricted our ability to go ahead and send them our recycling, so we don't necessarily have to collect it in the same way we did before because we don't have the repurposing country to go ahead and obtain the recycled items anymore. So a lot of the recyclables that that's collected by the county is actually just thrown out with the regular trash. A lot of people don't realize that's happening right now. So they're now looking into smelting plants and basically how they can go ahead and burn these down and convert them in a factory into other useful products, other than, of course, more plastics being plastics and things like that. So that's good. So that's just more into the reusable aspect of products we create and then can reuse. Because remember, when these products are already created, they're in a specific solid form. So knowing, having to convert that isn't as big of a deal as it used to be. Quantum teleportation of items. So number 9, we do have quantum abilities to go ahead and manipulate one item here, which will manipulate an item over there. They now have quantum computing, which is of course faster than the speed of light because it's instantaneous. It's not having to travel. So what that means is that basically in the future we'll be able to go ahead and multiply items using matter, and also basically modify or change or alter or make it move or do whatever. We'll be able to do that with larger objects than just very, 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 very tiny particles. So that's very good for a lot of reasons, but the big thing is it is a form of its own teleportation. So digital currency, number 10. Basically, digital currency is going to take over, even though that will hurt America in a very big way because America is the international currency throughout the world. Digital currency is going to take over through blockchain and replace all the traditional bank systems that we have. There's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad. That's for another video, but that is a technology that's going to fix a lot of the crisis-based issues that we have in this country with controlling how America prints money and abuses. I mean, we're at trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions. We're at $27 trillion in debt. We're about to push the limit up to like 30 trillion. We need something to make these politicians actually have some sort of Excel sheet that they sit down at and say, okay, this is what we're spending and we're not going above it. All right, so these are the technologies that are going to help this stuff. I'll catch you a little bit later. My name is Attorney Walter, if not the third. If you want to catch up with me, 8 to 10 p.m. I go, every Thursday, Eastern Standard Time, I go live on YouTube. So Thursday, 8 to 10 Eastern Standard, live on YouTube. And if you have any additional questions, shoot me an email or give me a call and we'll go from there. 407-279-1754. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.